Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Miami Heat just coming up short against the Boston Celtics today in a 110-106 loss at the Kaseya Center. Heat fall to 0-3 this season against the Celtics in a game that was, a lot of fun. It was a very, very fun, hotly contested, especially fourth quarter, where Miami nearly had the push all the way back that was really buoyed by a lot of chippiness and Jaylen Brown being dirty as hell, trying to rip out the arm of Duncan Robinson, and then being a big crybaby about it to the officials. But alas, Miami comes up short in this game, had an opportunity to go up on top. Haywood Highsmith has the three, has the look, and isn't able to nail it. Kristaps Porzingis gets the rebound, and Caleb Martin fouls him on a loose ball. Just a really emotional game, but not a smart play in that moment. It would end up putting Boston up 4 after KP hits the free throws. Tatum then forces Bam into an ugly, ugly miss. And then another brutal possession as Brown misses a three-pointer, and the Heat can't get the rebound. Boston calls timeout with 15 seconds left, and that was all she wrote. But a really fun game back and forth that was also probably overshadowed by who was not there and who Miami lost in the midst of this game, which, even Richard Jefferson was bringing this up at the end, that there's a little bit of a tainted element to it, because you see the Heat are like going to Haywood Highsmith in the clutch, although he always plays Boston well. You have to, obviously been a traumatic, tough week for Haywood Highsmith and everything that has gone on, being involved in that accident, hitting somebody who was pushing their car at dark, and, being back with the team. I saw him back at practice yesterday and seeing him right back out there getting his first game action since all this went down. He always does a really, really good job against Boston's players. He seems to rise up in those levels. He's going to be used in a playoff series against the Boston Celtics. And, just thought that, man, if he could have had that shot, would have been just an incredible moment after some of the defensive plays that he's able to make. The real story of this second half offensively for Miami was Tyler Herro. Tyler Herro hit some just onion shots in big spots for Miami. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I liked about Tyler today that really stuck, because he was stinking up the joint in the first half. And I was actually I think Heat Twitter and everybody was irate and just be like, what is this Tyler Herro? His Heat legacy is always on the line every single half. But I do think that was important for him, that he answered the bell in a big way, because you don't have Jimmy Butler. You lost Terry Rozier. Bam's going to have to do a lot on the defensive end. They're going to run these things for you. This is going to be a spot where you need Tyler to come through. And he was just coming through with big shot after big shot. His game today, he finishes with 24 points, but that second half for him, I think he finished with 22 of them were in the second half, 9 of 15, 4 of 9 from downtown, and then he hit some bombs. I'm talking from Broward County in this game. He was, and I don't recall Tyler Herro pulling up from that deep in a while. I liked that type of aggression from Tyler Herro. He was absolutely tremendous today, and this is a Boston team that you're going to have to bring the three balls with if you're going to have any shot whatsoever. I thought that Miami, the thing I like about this is the same thing that I've not seen a Miami team, even in their losses, I've not seen a Miami team wilt. I have not seen them crumble. I've not seen a team that has been ready to let go of the rope. It would have been very easy in a game like today. We don't have Jimmy Butler. We lose J. Rich. We just lost Rozier. We're down 15 points. Let's call it a day. It would have been very easy for Miami to do that. And, I'm not here calling for moral victories, but I'm happy to see that Miami was able to dig deep and try and make this a game. And literally it was just right down to the bitter end of possessions. And, that's just, it reminded me and made me feel again, all right, this team really can. It always brings you back to, at their best with their competitiveness, they can dig in and they can compete, and they can get after these teams, and they can make it uncomfortable for these teams. Then you're going to have a shot, because this league is all about scoring and everybody's putting up crazy numbers. You got to be able to bring something different. And I just thought Miami did that. And just, there were so many plays that It could have gone either way. The one of the crazier plays in this game was the Miami Heat were kicking around pretty much this entire fourth quarter, like around down 10. It was about where they lived this entire game. Down 8, down 9, down 10. And then just this insane bucket at the end of the shot clock from Caleb Martin over the backboard, where he ends up tweaking his ankle. Mind you, the Heat had already lost 2 guys and don't have Jimmy, who we'll get in, we'll talk about Jimmy in just a second with what's going on with Jimmy. Jimmy away from the team because of a death of a family. They're calling it a leave of absence. So I don't know when Jimmy Butler's going to be back with the Miami Heat. But they're fighting through it. Miami gets down 10 points. Caleb Martin hits this beautiful shot, crazy circus shot over the backboard. And it's good. Brings Miami to within 9. And then we get to the other end of it, and Jaylen Brown and Duncan Robinson are tied up. Duncan gets the foul. And then, like, Jaylen Brown puts him in like the arm lock and like face plants him into the bend, into the front row seats. And it got reviewed. They eventually call a technical foul. They go review it for hostile act, and it ends up being upgraded to a flagrant 1. But the thing that was annoying, the thing that was annoying about it was not only that just Jaylen Brown did it, but then like he's completely unapologetic about it to the point where he's like whining about it still to the officials because he thinks Duncan Robinson flopped, which was crazy because this dude's out here acting like Ronda Rousey, throwing the armbar on him. And it's like, hey, man. And Duncan Robinson like goes back to him and he's still like, he's like, hey, what are you still complaining about? It's over. And just Jaylen Brown's just still chitter-chattering. He's still just jawing at Duncan the entire time. So Duncan hits the 2 shots. Love the fact that Duncan Robinson wouldn't let go. Then he gets to keep the possession, goes right to Bam Adebayo, bullies it, finishes strong, and gets the foul. Brings Miami to within 4. So a big par for there from Bam, because I know some fans are like, hey, Bam, you got to go whoop some ass there right now. Go take off somebody's head. Instead, who he does, he puts his head down, he goes and gets the N1. Quite frankly, I would have liked a little bit more of that Bam in the fourth quarter, especially at the end there with Tatum on him. But, the one thing with his, I think he has to realize how physically strong that he is sometimes. And, like, he is bailing these defenders out when he goes off to that fadeaway jumper stuff in the clutch. That's what they want, man. I love when he puts his head down and they can't corral him and he's getting to the free throw line. He was great at that today. Bam ends up finishing his day with a rough day from the field where he was 7 of 18, but he was 8 of 8 from the free throw line. So he finishes with 22 points, 13 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 block shots. I would have liked, I just think that if he were to, go at that basket a little bit more, man, I feel like this, some of these nights could be even more of a monster for him. But, he loves that jump shot, and it was not pretty at times for him. Did hit a big one over Al Horford, banked it in, but not enough for Miami to get this one. So anyway, Duncan Robinson just completely has the building going crazy. Bam hits a jumper, brings it to within 5. Jaylen Brown then goes to the free throw line. He misses both free throws. Jaylen Brown was having a wonky night from the free throw line. Then Duncan Robinson, they're making a big thing of this on the broadcast. They're like, oh, they're attacking Duncan Robinson every single time. They're attacking Duncan Robinson. I thought Duncan Robinson held his own. He forced Jaylen Brown into a travel, completely bottled him up, and wouldn't give the basketball to Duncan Robinson. He was being a big crybaby. Oh, I don't want to give the ball. Give him the ball. Then Al Horford comes through, huge block. The game is just playing at a chaotic rate right now. Just, it's going wild. So the Heat force a miss on a Derek White 3, get the ball back, goes back to Duncan Robinson. He ends up falling to the floor. They got to call timeout. So everybody kind of just takes a exhale on things. But it was a crazy middle of that fourth quarter for Miami. And then you just get some tremendous shot making from Tyler Herro. I kind of talked about the end of the game sequence as it was already, but I'm not gonna cry and whine over every loss. It's a regular season. This was a fun, competitive game. That's a really good Boston Celtics team. They have a lot of firepower. It's like you lose for 1 second. Drew Holiday's there hitting an open one in the corner. You know how good Jaylen Brown and Tatum are when it comes to everything but dribbling. And then, Porzingis was an absolute monster in the first half of this game. Like, they got their firepower. Everybody knows this. They have their firepower. But this could have gotten really ugly for Miami. The thing that sours it is certainly the injuries. It was the most concerning of them. They're both pretty concerning. Josh Richardson is concerning because his looked really, really bad. Josh Richardson in the first half of this game, Tatum ran there's a collision with him, shoulder, looked really bad. Like, he went down in a heap and looked really bad for Josh Richardson. So the Heat, they lose one of their guards. They've already gotten rid of R.J. Hampton recently, so maybe Alondas Williams is going to get more playing time than we thought. But then just an absolute killer in the third quarter of this game, Terry Rozier, who was having a nice game. Terry was he still cannot hit from three to save his life, but he, was doing a lot of great stuff, was with the speed, the rim pressure. He had some really, really gnarly stuff in the paint to get some big time buckets, but he goes for another one where he ends up getting fouled and just has this awkward landing right on his right knee. It looked bad, and he grabs the knee immediately. He goes right to the locker room. They have to call Orlando Robinson. Mazzulla gets to pick a free throw shooter. He picks Orlando Robinson, who nails them both to his credit. But it did not look good for Terry. It did not look good for Terry. And, it's just the unfortunate thing. Miami in this game, wasn't able to have him have his shot creation. Thankfully you had a Tyler Herro going nuclear, so that definitely helped. But this is the big trade that you made. You just had Kyle Lowry, who just went to Philadelphia off the buyout. And, if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, I don't know what Miami does. I really don't. I don't know what Miami does. They'd be in a tough spot because I would say we've had a Jaime Jaquez back from injury. He's not quite looked like himself. He did get the start for Jimmy Butler tonight. Got off to a nice start with a 3 and a big alley-oop, but he was really late on rotations today. He was tough on helping with shooters and leaving guys open. Jaime had a rough one today. But this was that was really, really rough to lose not only Rozier, but to lose Jay Rich in the same scope. Thankfully the All-Star break is coming up, so I don't know what Miami does. Maybe they can get like a hardship if this is going to be something, and hell, maybe Goran Dragic, give him a little dial, see if the Dragon wants to give a little cameo here at the end of right before the All-Star break. But I don't know what Miami does there from an injury standpoint. It did not look good with either guy. They both look like really, really brutal injuries. And then on top of it, you also had Caleb Martin, who landed on that Sixth Circus shot, landed on a referee when he was trying to gather himself. Referee couldn't get out of the damn way. I don't know if the guy's last name was O'Keefe or what, but brutal. So love the fight for Miami today. Tough loss. Would have liked to see a little bit more. I love when we see a Bam Adebayo put his head down and get to the rim. Would have loved to see a little bit more of that. But, overall, between him and Tyler hitting the big shots that they did and the injuries mounting up the way they did, I thought Miami showed a tremendous fight in this game. And, no shame in the way this one ended. It's just it's a question of how Miami pivots from here because of you have to deal with Rozier and his injury, Jay Rich and his injury, Jimmy Butler, his leave of absence. How long is that going to be? Heat's going to give him usually, as long as he needs, I'm sure. And Miami's got 2 tough ones here to end the first half against Milwaukee and Philadelphia. So a lot in front of them with this homestand. But that was I know the Heat fans probably sick to their stomach. You wanted this one. You wanted to pull this would have been easily the biggest win of the season if you would have been able to pull this off with the injuries and Jimmy Butler gone and all the emotion of that fourth quarter with Duncan Robinson just getting ragdolled and then coming back and nearly mounted the comeback. That Caleb Martin foul on the loose ball, man, was that was a crusher. That was like, oh, because you just felt like to that point Miami was doing, had put a lot of the dumb mistakes behind them and was playing pristine. If they could have just not allowed that happen, they would have been in a really, really great spot. But alas, they come up short, and Boston gets their first regular season sweep against Miami in about, what did they say, 16, 17? So that's 7 seasons it's been since the last time that happened. So tough one. Everybody enjoy the rest of their Super Bowl Sunday, though.